It's true, as Boris said, that I did write a book called Shaping Things, which is a design theory book rather than the kind of book I normally write, science fiction novels. And that's my contribution to the realm of smart dust and blogjics, fabjics, the Internet of Things, the geospatial web, transparent production, spy chips, everywhere, ambient findability, tangible media, ambient computing, pervasive computing, ubiquitous computing. It's my little entry into the debate there. It's a manifesto about our need for a sustainable society and how we might use digital techniques to create and maintain one. Let me try to sum that book up in a way that's as simple as possible. I like to think about ubiquitous computing from an object-centric, user-centric point of view. As things, not networks, things. A thing within a network. A thing that is native to an Internet of Things. What is that? Well, I call that speculative thing a spime. And a spime has 6 important qualities that distinguish it from all objects in history. Number 1, it's conceived and designed within a network. That's where we think about it. That's where we plan it, with communication tools, the successors of wikis and today's CAD/CAM design tools. And number 2, it's given a unique identity, a digital identity, distinct from every single other object in the world. Number 3, it's physically fabricated directly from its virtual plans, from a fabricator rather than a factory, digital manufacturing. In fact, a spime is generally not manufactured at all until it has been sold. It doesn't come into physical existence until someone demands it. And number 4, it can be tracked with geolocation technologies. Real-time locating systems, location-aware systems, GPS, etc. Number 5, a spime can be searched out through network search engines. It can be bought and sold that way, and it has search engine optimization so that everyone can find it. And number 6, it's designed for disassembly. It can be broken down, folded back into the production stream through cradle-to-cradle methods, so it has a very light environmental footprint. And last of all, you might call this feature 7. A spime leaves behind a historical trace, a valuable pool of metadata. After it ceases to exist physically, that metadata is then used to create new spimes. So this is a rather thick and visionary notion, which kind of required me a book to work on. And I'm basically describing a computer-human interface for everything in the world. Everything in the world. And do I mean that? Yeah. Pretty much everything in the world. In fact, I don't think there'll be just one for everything in the world. My suspicion is there'll be dozens of tracking systems for everything in the world, everything that has really any meaning, value, or relevance to ourselves or to machines. Now, I know that doesn't sound very realistic. That's because I'm a visionary. I'm not supposed to be realistic. It may be that you're realistic. You may be today's hard-bitten interaction professional. And you would hear a pitch like this and you would think, okay, but what about the providers and the handset makers and the installed base of users and the very limited screen real estate and severe bandwidth and software problems. And you, visionary, you are telling me that every object on the earth ends up as part of a database? Yes. Yes, that is what I am telling you. Something like that is going to happen. 30 years or so. It might not be exactly ubiquitous. It might be pervasive, or ambient, or geolocative, or location aware, but it's coming. I mean, really, it's coming. It's going to be practically impossible to do. You're going to do it anyway. Whenever you succeed at part of it, you're going to get paid a lot. So rejoice. Now, personally, I'm a novelist, so I was planning to write a novel about Spimes, not just a design manifesto about it. And I started my work on the subject. I never talked very much about interaction design when I was writing my book, Shaping Things. It's more of an industrial design approach. So I began fictionally describing how people in my little future science fiction novel try to interact with ubiquity, basically an interaction design problem. I had never gotten around to that part. I thought that was the easy part. That's not the easy part. Let me describe the way science fiction traditionally thinks about interface design, when it thinks about interface design at all. Science fiction is not science. It's a form of popular entertainment. It's for entertaining people. It thinks dramatically and sensationally and satirically and sometimes literarily, and it even thinks scientifically every once in a while. It rarely thinks in terms of designing interactions. It just hasn't been on the to-do list of the genre. The most common science fictional form of a computer-human interface is a talking computer. Why? Because a talking machine can engage in dramatic dialogue. That's why, for an author, that's the ideal computer. It can talk. For the rest of us, that's Microsoft Clippy. It's a horrible thing, a useless, terrible thing. An artificial intelligence with a human body. Authors love this. Why? Because it can come into the room and get out of the room. It can enter the stage and remove itself from the stage. That's a robot. Robots were not invented by technologists. Robots were invented by a playwright. A European dramatist, Karl Čapek, invented robots. A robot is a technology problem dressed up as a human being for dramatic purposes. Robots are ideal for authors. They're practically useless for any other purpose. Immersive virtual reality. Authors love immersive virtual reality. Why? Because virtual reality is just like a book. Books are immersive media. You're not supposed to do anything else. As an actual interface, if you put your head inside a sealed bucket so that you become blind and deaf to the outside world, that is a very doubtful design practice. Not only is it dangerous, you can get head lice. Cyberspace, the consensual hallucination. This is an area we can actually boast of. Cyberspace has become a classic science fictional version of a computer-human interface. Why? Probably because cyberspace came from user observation. It came from a science fiction writer actually looking at a computer-human interface being used. Kids playing video games in the 1980s. William Gibson. You notice these children obsessed by computer games, they seem so entirely fixated and fascinated by those screens. He thought, what if they just fell into that space? What if that space engulfed them? That was cyberspace. Neal Stephenson's metaverse, a lot of fans in the industry for Neal Stephenson's idea. Second Life people, big fans of Snow Crash. I think Neal's a great thinker. Brain plugs, very typical science fictional notion of a human-computer interface. Just take the computer, stick it right into your skull. Okay, that's a serious infection risk. Brain plugs are not a crazy idea. They're a rather straightforward extrapolation. But they are an extrapolation on mistaken principles of human-computer symbiosis, a notion that Machines work in some analog fashion to the human brain, and you can directly pipe the one to the other. That doesn't work. I mean, these ideas, hard AI, computer-human symbiosis, they're the ideas of the 1960s. They turned out to be just mistaken. We're just not getting there. So look, one might say, after listening to this litany of complaint, is, look, you're just a science fiction writer. Why don't you just write the most sensational, mind-blowing book possible and just get it all over with? I'm tempted, I really am, but somehow I'm past that now. It doesn't seem a proper response to the reality on the ground in this century. It's become corny. It's boring. It's kitsch. It's kitsch to do it that way. Now, in my extensive science fiction career, I've written rather a lot about computer interfaces. Specs, for instance, S-P-E-X. I made those up. Specs are augmented reality glasses. They put visual tags on things you see in your environment. Specs have pull-down menus. You interact with them by gesturing with your hands. The spec sees your fingers moving. Your fingers are your pointer mechanisms. So I wrote rather a bunch of science fiction stories that involve people wearing specs and using specs, and I don't think I believe in them anymore. Augmented reality is a dated idea. I mean, why bring reality into the issue? The internet is reality. It's a reality. It's not a phantasm. It's a real thing. It's a common, everyday thing. The idea that the virtual is somehow philosophically separate from the actual, it's a period notion. It's done. Cell phones. Well, that's a more typical, fruitful thing to think about in our own era. Cell phones. A globally distributed, well-nigh ubiquitous metamedium. Metamedium eats practically everything. You could just count the historical devices that have been replaced, devoured, really, by cell phones. The telephone, obviously, the pager, the alarm clock, the calculator, the answer phone, email, web browsing, the fax, video gaming, computing, the camera, the video camera, the dictaphone, the FM radio, the AM radio, music players, lots of music players, video players, DVD quality video cameras, advanced PC-style web browsers, pedometers, GPS satellite navigation hardware, Wi-Fi, barcode readers vanishing into cell phones, micropayment systems, even if it takes half an hour to buy a soft drink. They're working on it, come on. It'll only take 10, 12 minutes soon. House keys have been eaten by cell phones. Car keys. Weblogs. And the screen still stinks and the buttons are just terrible. So, I've learned enough about design to stop thinking in science fictional terms about what are basically design principles and design issues. And instead of thinking in terms, literary terms, like dramatic impact and the sense of wonder, I nowadays tend to think in terms such as cognitive loading and opportunity cost. Cognitive loading and opportunity cost. Don't make me think. That's what the user cries out. Just don't make me think. So if I look in the future at one thing within an internet of things, do I want to think about it? Do I want to marvel at it? Oh, marvelous thing, you are such a wonderful spime. Your spimeness, your wonderful spimeness has me paralyzed with wonder. No, I just want to get something done with it and get on with my life. looking at a mass-tracked object, a mass-searched object, which is what a spime is. It's like looking at a mass-produced object. Mass production is obviously important, but that's not the story. I wouldn't say, oh, Macintosh plug, how mass-produced you are, your massness. No, it's just either it works or it doesn't. Other aspects of design, the physical world, as opposed to the internet world, has scale. It has scale and mass. I can zoom in and out on Google Earth. I can't zoom in and out on the Earth. Now, Adam Greenfield, noted design theorist, author of the book Everywhere, he says that this suggests that everywhere, which is his term for software for everything and everywhere, should have physical scales built in. In other words, everywhere, tomorrow's software for the ubiquitous 3D environment is bodyware, and it's roomware, and it's houseware, buildingware, it's cityware, it's nationware, it's globalware. So what does this mean, in terms of my interaction with it or describing it on the page? If some globalware comes by within a book, a passing nuclear aircraft carrier, for instance, that's obviously globalware. Am I going to interface with it in the same way that I interface with my toothbrush? I don't think so. Where is the distinction drawn? I haven't figured that out yet. Do I want to interact with my toothbrush? Yes. I want to interact with my toothbrush if it reduces my cognitive load and my opportunity cost. We'll run a scenario. Gosh, my toothbrush, it looks so old and dirty now. I point my cell phone at it, and I then read, that's an IDEO toothbrush. You got it at the Target store. They have a new one that costs $10, but it removes more plaque from your teeth. That sounds boring. What toothbrush did my friends buy? Your friends bought the new Apple iBrush, which uses it uses fiber optic bristles to take pictures of the holes in your teeth. That's more like it. Tell me more. Suddenly the wall lights up. There's a website there. It's Jobs himself. There are a society of Apple iBrush users. There's a Wikipedia of them. There's a Flickr set. The Amazon.com. They're all taking pictures of their teeth. They're comparing their personal dental stories. Okay, I don't want to engage in that this morning. I just woke up. But the fact that they're there, that those tooth bloggers are there for me, it makes me feel much more confident about the enterprise. I immediately purchase one, and I can see that behind this simple, effortless consumer activity is that vast interactive production system. And if I want to pitch in and help, I can pitch in and help. And if I lack the time or I'm otherwise engaged, I don't have to. It's just not a problem. You notice I used a handheld device as the interface in my toothbrush scenario, but handhelds are so small and meager. I ought to be able to ask higher order questions about the objects in my environment, reducing my cognitive load and increasing my opportunities. Questions such as, is there anything in this apartment, my flat, that I have not looked at or touched in a year? Then I get an immediate list of search engine hits from my houseware. Yes, there are many objects taking up space. Dust, old sweaters, boring, outmoded board games, Chinaware I never use, whatever. And my immediate response, sell it. Just sell all of it. Sell it all on eBay. Just give me the cash. I don't ever want to think about any one of those things ever again. Ever. A vastly improved consumer interface. Don't make me think. Reduce my cognitive load. Give me more opportunities at less cost per opportunity. That sounds like science fiction magic, actually. But it's design thinking. If it also works as science fiction magic, hey, so much the better. Never thinking about it again. That is the ideal relationship between a normal human being and an object. It's the opposite of how designers think and feel. Because designers are extremely object obsessive. I realized this when I was teaching at Art Center College of Design. Many of my students were doing media design and interactive design, some of them anyway, and very commonly they would come out with their proposal for their object, and it was some gizmo on a neck pendant. You see, the user wears my device dangling around his neck, and no, I would tell them, gently but firmly, no, your design project is not hung around the user's neck. The user has other uses, many other uses for his personal neck. This project is hung around your neck. You are psychologically projecting on the user. You're the designer. You're the one who has to obsess about the device. That's why he's paying you. It's not him who wants to obsess. You obsess more. Let him obsess less. So what is the victory condition, in a technological innovation of this kind? It is not, wow, this interactive device is so interactive. It is creating history. And that sounds more like this. I'm not sure I like Google anymore. They're too powerful and they just know too much. Google is starting to scare me. All right, then you better stop using Google. Oh no, I could never do that. That's not even possible. Okay then, game over. Under those conditions, something of actual consequences happened in the world. We're not just repeating the accepted pieties. We are describing a world that has changed fundamentally. Now that's the kind of world one ideally wants to describe in a good science fiction novel. It should be a future world, not necessarily a kinder world or a better world or a utopia or a dystopia, a plausible world. A world that, once you've made a step in that direction, you can't step back. Google is not just a technology. It's not just a PageRank algorithm. Google is made of interactions. It's made of historical interactions, millions of people interacting over a period of years with the net. That is what Google actually is. It's not software, it's not hardware, it's millions of people clicking and linking for years. People didn't choose to create Google in its current form. Even the Google boys, Larry and Sergey, and they're not evil. They're just Stanford graduate students. They must be surprised and even somewhat creeped out by the stuff Google chooses to focus our collective attention on. Microsoft sees itself as a kind of vehicle. Where do you want to go today? Where do you want to go today to give us some money? But Google is a society. Google is techno-social. Now, recently, I saw some demos for the Nokia Internet tablet and the Apple iPhone, which are cousin devices. They both involve people navigating in cities using Google Maps, or geographical, geolocative systems. Beautifully executed, amazingly complicated, sophisticated, geolocative breakthrough technology. But of course, people don't want to use digital maps to navigate in cities. People want to go someplace. That's what people want. Only map obsessives want to obsess over maps. So what we are seeing in this tablet and this, quote, phone, unquote, is an engineering and design feat that is kind, not to the users, but to the chips. And it's kind to the installed base. And it's kind to the providers. Look, I got a cell phone company to willingly talk to Google. A fantastic feat, not very user-centric. You need to ask yourself, where is this going? What is the victory condition for a navigation device of that kind? It isn't the navigating. You ought to be able to give that device or its successor in future to a 4-year-old child and have him cross the planet alone. You ought to be able to send your toddler to downtown New Delhi with nothing except his tablet. You just feed him breakfast and pat him on the head. Okay, go. And he walks out the door and the tablet books him a cab. And he gets into the cab and the cab takes him to the airport. And the tablet pays for the cab and the tablet sees him through airport security. And the tablet orders the little boy a special meal on the plane, and it entertains him there. He's playing Pac-Man on his tablet for 8 hours until he gets out in New Delhi. And he leaves the airport and he walks to his hotel. And the tablet has booked the hotel. And it has staked out all his favorite 4-year-old fast food joints in New Delhi. The McDonald's, the Kentucky Fried Chicken. It's a set of clickable options. Nobody's going to hurt this traveling little boy because he has a tablet. He is a walking heap of streaming live video and proximity sensors. It has biometrics. Only he can use it or touch it. It can't be stolen from him. He is safe. He is sending his mom Twitter messages every 15 seconds. Satellites and cell phone towers are mapping his every step. Even the stoplights and the parking meters are watching him. It's like he never left. And he visits his pal Sanjay, and they have a nice sleepover in their pajamas, and then he just flies home. That's the victory condition for a geolocative navigation device. Now notice, in this science fiction scenario that I just wrote, the user, the 4-year-old, has practically no role whatsoever. He doesn't have to do much of anything. There is no steep learning curve for him. He doesn't marvel at his device. He doesn't master any set of arcane commands. He doesn't even have to be careful not to lose his wallet. He doesn't have a wallet. He doesn't have a passport. All he has is a set of biometrics so that the tablet knows it's really him. And you know, there aren't that many technical pieces missing from that scenario. You could try it. You could try it as an experiment. You can't send a 4-year-old boy to New Delhi. That's not a realistic option. Although you can send a 40-year-old Scotch to New Delhi by Federal Express, it'll get there overnight in perfect condition. You could try a similar experiment now. A design school could do this as a class project. Get an iRoomba robot, one of the little mobile vacuum cleaner guys, lash an iPhone on top of it. Hook up Google Maps, see how far it gets. You might object somebody's going to hit it on the head with a stick. Just have your student walk along behind the thing, taking its picture as it goes. That would be a mechanical device using the internet to navigate the Earth's surface, right? If a 4-year-old can get there, a Roomba vacuum cleaner ought to be able to get there. They're cheap. Now suppose that works. If I get bored with some Spime, one of these mobile robots, the Roomba iPhone lash-up, is at my door from its plug at the parking meter in a minute and a half. It's a rolling trash can. I just throw it in. Here's the object. Thanks for the payoff. Goodbye. Don't make me think. Don't make me think. Just have the net come get it. Have the net take it away. I know that seems counterintuitive. We think, well, objects are valuable. Robots are valuable. Somebody's going to steal that Roomba vacuum cleaner. They might try that now. In the future, no, that's not very likely. If you're a thief in a world of Spimes, you steal information about objects, not objects. It's the information that's valuable. That's what's worth stealing. Robbing banks to get gold, paper, that's corny. Modern, forward-thinking thieves, they steal entire banks, like they do in Russia. Car theft is in decline. Cars like a giant Spime. It's a whole lot of technical trouble to steal an automobile nowadays. It's very menacing to a professional thief. There's the OnStar system in cars, LoJack. There's vehicle identity numbers stenciled on most of the parts. There's RFID in the car keys. The police can read and search license plates by the thousand in a matter of minutes. The police deliberately bait stealable cars with bugs or tracking devices inside. There are video monitors present at traffic intersections. It's hard to steal cars. Demographics have their own means and ends. There would not be one kind of Spime for one kind of universal user. There would be government Spimes, military Spimes, police Spimes, science Spimes, big science Spimes, hobby Spimes, academy Spimes, Spimes for children, Spimes for the elderly. You'd get regional variants, Italian Spimes. Then there are those scale problems I mentioned, the body wear, the room wear, the street wear, the city wear, the nation wear. We're looking at a grid of interactions here. Italian Spime nation wear, elderly body wear. There's never been one kind of interface. Interfaces have never been stable. Even the stable ones get deliberately brushed up all the time for cosmetic reasons, for promotional purposes. You look at a site like Flickr. They're always messing with the interface. They've got one of the best in the business. But messing with it is a form of entertainment for their users. Look, we've just made Flickr harder and more difficult to use with poorly explored, unstable beta software. Really? How exciting! We love you, Flickr! It's so thrilling that you care about us users so much. You actually know we're here. Now, my worst problem in doing futurist interface design for a novel is simple. I'm a novelist. I lack design talent. I can write about design because I'm a writer. I could give a speech about design. That's why I'm a speaker, but I'm not a designer. So the things I do about design, my fictional interventions in that world, they are wonky and amateurish, wordy and literary. They just lack the convincing look and feel of actual no-kidding design. This stuff I'm trying to describe in my book, it is extremely strange. It's very science fictional, but it isn't strange enough to be as strange as the real world is actually going to become. There is a sense of fiction being defeated by truth here. That's not going to do. Now, I could give up on the difficult and thorny subject of interaction design and simply try to go my own way as a professional literateur. Frankly, that doesn't seem to me to be a realistic option because there is no place left to hide from the interaction. We used to be in separate worlds, but thanks to advances in design, we're all on the same web page now. Now, Fiona Rabi and Tony Dunn are interaction designers. Their work is clearly very science fictional. I want to quote something Tony said. Let's just find this. Oh, yes. My default mental model of a user is a tortured, existential soul drifting through a complex, technologically mediated consumer landscape. Can I just point out how totally right on that is? When I look at their imaginary services and products, I can see that I share some very important cultural issues with them. We have very different techniques of exposition, we have different audiences, we are different media. We are working in the same conceptual space. You know, as a creative, one's choice of a medium used to be absolutely crucial. If you were an ink on paper guy, you were an ink on paper guy. If you were television, you were television. If you were movies, you were movies. That's just not there anymore. The net and its adjuncts are becoming a hybrid meta-medium that links everyone, and presently every location and everything. And we people who work in media, creatives, we lack a good perspective on this reality. Photography, cinema, video, digital culture, literature, design, these former hierarchies of the creative disciplines are coming violently apart. They are coming apart right in front of our eyes. And yet, at the same historical moment, profoundly powerful networks are assembling. And I am trying to write something that is worthy of what is actually happening to us. So thanks for your help. I need your help. If you can give me more help, send me some email. Thank you for your attention and for a really good conference.